focus on one or two points in this short keynote address. The first is that we live in turbulent times. We have just gone through a COVID pandemic, and now something we never expected, a war. This has created huge problems in the supply chain. My friends from Africa tell me that they source a lot of inks from Europe, and Europe is quoting 6 months lead times for supplying of inks and ink raw materials. You can imagine the kind of global distortions in the supply chain. So one message that is coming out from this is that ink manufacturer, that converter, and that brand owner will win who associate with new generation suppliers and strengthened existing suppliers to make supply chains resilient to these kinds of shocks. We must be flexible with our supply chains, with our sourcing paradigms, and with our cost controls, with our inventory controls. The days of just in time are over. We have to maintain some degree of inventory. Prices of crude are shooting up. Therefore, prices of solvents, pigments, resins, everything is shooting up. Transportation is dislocated. Transportation costs are going up globally. So if you're importing a certain specialized pigment or a special resin, the prices would have gone up. The rupee is depreciating because the dollar is very strong. So anything you import will be even more expensive. So the first message is these are uncertain days, uncertain times, and you have to be very strong in your sourcing, in your supply chain, in your inventory, and in your order management. So the entire supply chain, from the ink raw material supplier to the ink manufacturer, to the converter, to the brand owner, to the packing center, everything has to work in tandem to succeed. Costs will catch up with you, but you will have to find ways of reducing cost. And here, what will stand you in good stead is first, productivity and lowering wastage. Higher speed and lower wastage will always stand you in good stead. Second is, wherever you are using solvents or even water, you have to have efficiency of drying at high speeds. You'll have to minimize the amount of solvents and the number of solvents in ink systems where you have to do such viscosity control so that you can make viscosity control easier. You can use systems like ink cooling where required to minimize solvent evaporation. And you have to print the design first time right with automation systems so that you do not waste time in setup. You are off and you are completing the run well in time. And this productivity and lower wastage is what will stand you in good stead. You can also think of systems of solvent recovery if you are using solvent-based inks, of having lesser number of solvents, toluene-free, ketone-free, which also facilitate viscosity control, mix of water and solvents, some stations and solvents, some stations with water-based. Whatever you can do to optimize, improving transfer, lowering GSM, work with the designer, with the ink manufacturer, with the cylinder or plate transfer systems to substrate to minimize ink GSM. So this will be the challenge, that to reduce cost, we must look at better productivity because costs will increase. The next point then is also to look at the packaging structures, the packaging designs, and the converting processes so that the total cost can be minimized. Can we lower the print area? Can we lower the ink GSM at the design stage itself, making it simpler? And can we simplify the packaging structures so that they are simpler, there are less number of processes, triple laminates become bilaminates, talking in terms of flexible packaging, and therefore the entire system cost reduction is possible. And finally, while you are doing all this, can you look at biosourcing of ink constituents. For example, India has a huge agricultural base of flowers and biodiversity of plants. Can we source pigments from plants, organic pigments instead of synthetic? The cost increases will be much less. Can we source resins from plants? Can we source solvents from, say, sugarcane, like ethanol? India is making a huge quantity of ethanol from sugarcane. Can we blend in this ethanol into our ink system as solvents and thereby keep a control on the cost because they are agri-sourced? So when we look at the agri components of ink, we may need to do new chemistries, new R&D, but we will probably also increase the income of farmers, at the same time make it more bio-resourced and also the cost to be less volatile. And finally, trying to make structures sustainable and in the process making them more cost effective. This is the challenge, and to do this we have to work as a team. I cannot be Mr. Siegberg, Mr. Huber, and we cannot work in silos. We have to work with our suppliers, many of whom may be common, some may be different. We have to work with new startups. We have to work with smaller companies. We have to work with ink kitchen equipment manufacturers, solvent recovery systems manufacturers, fire safety systems. And if we do that, we will not only contain cost, we'll also be able to give full service to the end consumer. This will also increase our export potential. Globally, because of the disruptions in the supply chain, there are huge markets who are crying for supplies, particularly in Africa. And we will be able to open up quite a big export market if we can give a full range of solutions, a complete set of solutions by working with partners across the supply chain to service those customers. That will also give us economies of scale, the export markets, give us better realizations, and at the same time allow us to moderate cost. So we can then give cost-effective, sustainable, global solutions, which are also bio-resourced so that they benefit the farming community and they are a total solution in a kind of way. So this is a new challenge coming from COVID and from the war which is going on, which is getting more dangerous every day. And one thing is certain, that the world going forward in the next decade is going to be a very uncertain world. And we have to create certainty out of uncertainty by coming together, breaking the silos, thinking holistically. Thank you.